the next topic is how to sign a 1K client in the next 30 days. So if you've started your agency, or your agency's been up for 6 months, still not got a client like I did when I first started, what are the exact steps they need to take to sign at least a £1,000, $1,000 a month client in the next 30 days?
Okay. My view on this is those that take, and I know I'm going to put you in this bracket because you've gone through the experience. So Harry, when Harry first started, it took him 6 months to sign his first client. When I first started, it took me like a week. Now, the reason for that is I was doing the basic principles well, and Harry was learning the basic principles to a point where he got to 6 months, learned loads, adapted, changed, won a client, won another client, won another client, and off he went. So if you have not signed a client within the first 3 months of doing this job, you are absolutely doing something wrong, and it'll be huge. You'll be doing fundamental basics wrong. So people are thinking, well, what are the fundamental basics? That is a question that we could go all day on and talk about, which we're kind of not going to do at this point. But to sign a client and to give yourself the best chance of signing a client in the first 30 days, you have to, and whoever's listening to this, you have to really make notes or think about this as I'm saying it. Lay out in front of you who you know and what connection you have with them that may have a business. Okay. It could be your girlfriend's uncle has a business. It could be your friend's brother. It could be your brother. It could be your parents. It could be your uncle. Anyone you need. That is what's called your inner circle. And those who are looking to sign a client or make just $1,000 or pounds a month in 30 days, you've got to tap up your inner circle. Okay. Those that you know and connected, you then almost become partially referred. It's a completely different dynamic. Okay. Once you've laid out your inner circle and write them down, lay it out in front of you on a table and and pinpoint them off of when you're going to approach them, talk to them, and try and speak to them about what you do and what value you add. Once you've done that, you then need to get on the phone. I'm sorry, it's a reality check for a lot of, Gen Zs particularly, which is your category, Harry, of 23.
Yeah, and I agree.
Years of age. Don't want to talk to their friends on the phone, let alone a stranger. If you can nail that process and bring yourself out your comfort zone and actually really give it, like we know a young lad, don't we, who we can name, called Ross. Ross doesn't do cold calling for a living. He actually works in a warehouse, but he's now smashing out cold calls and booking appointments, so you can do it, and it has a dramatic effect, and you will 100% win a client from doing that.
Massively. And that was my biggest mistake. I think people, when they start their agency, they'll start day one. For the next 2 months, they'll be like, right, let me craft my skills. How do I do Facebook ads? What's the perfect Facebook ad strategy? How do I sell products? This, and this, make a website. They get all of that, but then they don't put that same energy into learning how to sell their services. You could be the best Facebook advertiser in the world and be able to get your clients unbelievable results. But if you can't portray the value that you bring through your services, you're never going to get a client. And that was my problem. Like I knew the ads platforms to a T because I'd done all the drop shipping stuff before. But when it came to me sending outreach messages and on the phone, I was just a shambles. I just didn't know how to craft the correct messages. I was just doing it all wrong.
Well, do you know what, mate? People, there's so many people. We live in a culture where people want to feel like they're an entrepreneur, but they don't want to work like an entrepreneur. And they like the little things you've just said, getting a website and telling people you've just started a business and getting a logo made and all this other shit that people do, which is you're prioritizing all the wrong stuff. Then when it comes to actually want the money maker, like they don't do the money maker. They just sit and send a few messages and expect, like some people, and it is unfortunately is the slightly younger gen that are coming through, don't quite have an understanding of the level of work that is involved in just 30 days. Yeah. And actually, we've seen people who have adopted our strategies from our trainings and our academy in the first 30 days and have done more in 30 days than some people who aren't our members and aren't our students have done in 8 months. And they did it in 30 days.
I still get there's one person in particular on my Instagram. I get a message probably once a week saying, oh, let me read this last message. It's like, and I know you've you get him messaging you a lot. He says, oh, how many outpieces of outreach, do I need to do to sign a client? Or what's the perfect ad strategy? Or what do I say in a meeting? And every time it's like, I tell him the answers because I'm trying to help him, but I know he's not implementing any of it. He's always searching for that next hidden trick, that next key piece of information for success, or that next hidden script that's going to sign your client. But you just need to get started. And I think, I think what people forget is there's 3 things to sign a client: how to find the clients, which is super easy, what to say to the clients to get them to book a meeting, and then what to say in a meeting to get them to sign as a client. It's literally that simple, such 3 simple steps.
It is that simple. The presentation is everything, and also how you're talking to that person is important. But I think people need to know, like, if you're listening to this, me and Harry have gone through this personally. You know, I was fired from my 50+ K a year job. I've got 2 children, right? I was being divorced at the time. I was going through shit. So I'm living proof that having an idea, I saw the idea of SMMA. I saw the business concept and what that business model looked like. I knew there was an opportunity. I knew marketing is a big thing that all businesses need. So I thought, right, I'm going to start it. It was an idea whilst I was lying in bed, and I was like, I'm going to implement this. And I took it and did it. And all I did was take action all the time. And me and you are living proof. I'm much older than you, you've gone through a slightly different route with the Amazon drop shipping and trade in the Forex and all this shit that you were doing. Like we have living proof. So we're not saying it, and because we walk the walk, talk the talk, and we still do. We teach, and we still have our business, which is growing at such a rate we can't even keep up. So people have to understand you're listening to 2 people that are breathing it. So when we say to you, get on the phone and make cold calls throughout the week, tap up your inner circle, put your presentation together that you're going to approach people with, get your LinkedIn. If you are going to start a business, you don't need a website straight away, but you do need a nice LinkedIn page and a Facebook profile page or Instagram page to a degree, just something that they can use as a point of reference that you look genuine. Or just go freelance, start freelance first. But again, if you're going freelance, don't, like you've said this so many times, Harry, don't have your Instagram profile as you smoking a fucking fat joint, right? And you're out pissed up on the weekend and all this stuff. Make it look professional, make it look really classy and slick. Because when people go to check you out, they're going to be like, yeah, this guy's of value, But it's so we've been there and done it. We're living proof that what we're telling you works. We have the formula. Me and you know the formula of what works to make 10K plus a month. We know it. We have it here, and we're telling everyone for free what to do. But there's no good, like you say, me and you get quite a little bit frustrated with the same questions from the same people online, because all that demonstrates is you want some secret hidden answer, which means then you're going to go and do it and crush it. I actually think a lot of this job is quite a straightforward job.
It is. Once you understand, there is, like I say this thousands of times, I said it on my Instagram this week, there is a blueprint. There literally is a blueprint. There's a blueprint that works. There's millions of blueprints that don't work. So once you get the one that does, and you're not scared to do it, but even then, I know loads of people that have been given the blueprint, but they're not willing to do it because it's not what they thought it was.
Yeah.
But going back to like some actionable things people can do in 30 days to sign their first 1K month client. When you were in your sales job, how many cold calls did you do a day?
200.
200. Okay, so say
maybe even more actually. Maybe.
Yeah. Say like 200 to 250.
Let's say 200.
And how many hours did you work there? To do, like, how long did that take you?
That'd be a 7-hour day.
Okay, so say someone not as expert as you, let's dock some off, and say you're doing 3 hours of cold calling a day. Say you can do 70 cold calls in a day, which I don't think is a lot to ask for, because a lot of them won't pick up.
Yep.
70 cold calls a day.
You'll fall back on about 20, on about 25.
Exactly. So for my advice, if you're starting an SMA or you're struggling to get a client, and in the next 30 days you have a challenge to sign a client, think about this. And we say this in the academy. Dan Pena.
Love Dan Pena.
He says You need to make 2,000. If you make 2,000 cold calls, you'll be a multimillionaire. Obviously, that needs to be cold calls that are taken out with some kind of skill. Like I couldn't make my younger brother who's 7 make cold calls, 2,000 cold calls and become a multimillionaire. That's not what I mean.
No.
If you make 2,000 cold calls in a month, which is 66 a day, so that's under the 70 we just said. Dan Pena, multi-billionaire, says you'll be a multimillionaire. So if you make 60 a day, like you say, you get through to 20 a day and you book, say, 1 or 2 meetings a day because you know the strategy, you know the blueprint, there's no reason why you aren't going to sign a client unless you have the fundamentals wrong. So in those 30 days, step 1 will be make sure you have the fundamentals and you understand how to communicate to a business owner. And then step 2, spend all of your time on finding business owners and then reaching out to them through cold calls, 70 a day. And I'd be very, very shocked if you don't sign a client. Obviously, if you have the fundamentals and you have the strategies.
If you know what you're saying and you're well structured, you're well prepared, and you really give it time and thought before you make a call and you develop, it's really key that you're evolving with the process too. You will get better. I promise you, whoever's listening to this, you will get better, you'll improve and you'll learn. And that's the whole part of a human being. So what we do our entire lives is learn. So you will get better. I think, like you say, if you're not getting any success at all and you're not getting anywhere on cold calling, then you're just doing something wrong, and you've got to make a change. But it'll be a small change. It'll be really, really small. And if those who don't know who Dan Pena is, please YouTube him after you've watched this video, and it's Dan Pena, Pena. Some of it is hilarious, the stuff he sort of talks about. But if you want to talk about mindset and aggressive behavior in a business sense, where you're really focused to drive yourself to success, he will get you in the mood.
Yeah, massively. And that's why, and that stat there, 2,000 cold calls makes you a multi-millionaire. I 100% stand by that. I really do. And it's why it frustrates me so much when people message me saying, Harry, I've sent 35 cold DMs and cold emails, not signed a client yet. Is SMMA really for me? I was like, anyone can do that. Like that, and the message they're sending through that cold email makes them just blend in. Nothing about that makes you stand out. So how are you shocked that 35 emails to 35 probably info at email addresses, not even the business owner, isn't getting response? I'm not shocked at that. You're nothing about that's making you stand out. Whereas if you're getting on the phone and showing utter conviction in your services and skill and treating them like a human and all the stuff we talk about in all of our videos, it makes it really tough for you to not sign that client in 30 days.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It really
and if
does.
you can't cold call, there are other ways. We teach that as part of our strategies. There are ways in which you can get decision makers and a little bit earlier, and you can actually do some of it by SMS messaging or by WhatsApping them with WhatsApp for Business. But yeah, I really do think if you implement the right things and you have the right tools, you just got to hit the phone and you will sign a client.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you'll actually sign more than one. This is the thing. We say one client in 30 days of $1,000 a month. That is kind of minimum, I'd say.
Yeah, no, me too, mate. I think that's such a clear strategy. If people are struggling, just pick up the phone, make sure you have the fundamentals, make sure you got your pages in order, and just and do the hard tasks. If anything feels uncomfortable, that means you're doing stuff that everyone else isn't wanting to do, which means you're going to find success. If you're comfortable sending emails, it means everyone's doing it, which means you're not going to find success. I think that's the bottom line.
SMMA sheep. I talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
There's a video on my Instagram actually about, are you a sheep in this industry? Yeah, and I lay into it a bit. I'll repost it for those who haven't seen it, but yeah,
definitely. Cool. Well, let's wrap it up there. If you've not watched the previous video, guys, the previous video was on two niches that are no longer available for SMMA in a way, but the link will be there to watch it. And then in the next video, we're going to be talking about how to increase e-commerce sales for your e-commerce SMMA clients by at least 25%, with a few really simple tricks, but that'll be out tomorrow. So yeah, we'll see you there.
Perfect.